welcome to Mystery of the Soul. I'm your co-host Leo, a psychic medium, a Reiki master, an EFT tapping practitioner, and a shaman. I'm joined by my good friend Julia, a doctor of physical therapy, yoga instructor, and Reiki master. Our podcast explores the depth of the soul, the spiritual, and the supernatural. Hi guys, welcome back to Mystery of the Soul. I'm Leo and I have my co-host Julia with me.
Hi,
We're
guys.
we're here tonight and we want to recap a little bit of our last interview with two mindful girls. And Julia, do you want to tell us a little bit how that went and what we want to talk about?
Absolutely. So welcome back, guys. So you may have not listened to episode 20 yet, but I highly recommend it. I think that Lisa and Ava, who are the founders of Two Mindful Girls, did a fantastic job of sharing some of the things that they are working on, not just in the school system, but in their own yoga practice that they've developed for children. And it was so exciting for me to hear about this because I am a yoga instructor, as you all may know, and have kids of my own. And I really think that incorporating practices of yoga, mindfulness, maybe some meditative practice, incorporating that into the school systems, I think is just so important these days. Teaching kids how to feel emotions and understand emotions, as well as learning different tools and techniques of what they can do and how they can self-regulate and manage those things. It was just, Leo, I thought it was a great system that they've created.
It was, and it's evolving and it's getting bigger, and I'm excited to kind of see it grow. They're all about like mindfulness and the yoga with kids. And I just was curious, I wanted to ask you, like, I know you have your book coming out, and what is it about mindfulness that you feel is important, that you've worked with your own kids about?
So I feel like it can happen on so many levels. You know, we think a lot of times as adults that we want our kids to do certain things, or we want them to behave a certain way, or we want them to maybe not deal with certain emotions in certain places, right? And I think that having children get more in touch with their emotions, how to feel their emotions, what their emotions mean, that it doesn't always have to be scary, and it doesn't have to always be something that you maybe feel is a little bit out of control, but having the ability to kind of pause for a moment and maybe practice some of these mindfulness techniques that Lisa and Ava were discussing with us. I think that is helpful. I mean, Leo, we've talked about different strategies that I've used with my children over the years. I know one of the things was Leo has this amazing, practice for kids in terms of making them, giving them a place where they can feel safe. And it's the Iron Man suit,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
Yep.
Leo, why don't you share with everybody about the Iron Man suit? Because I think that was one of the things that really helped us.
Yeah. So I created the Reiki energy I work with is holy fire. And I know for the longest time, I mean, when I was a kid, and any kid that's been really oversensitive to like energy and overwhelming emotions, it kind of affects you in a big way, and it can kind of really get you off kilter, and it can create also like a lot of fear in kids, and they're not know what to do. And especially around, like, I know for me as a kid, bedtime was hard, picking up on different energies that I didn't know or understand that were around that I couldn't see. And so after working with the holy fire energy, I kind of came up with this idea of, I have my own practice of energy protection that I do for myself as kind of like a ritual that I do every day. And I know it's hard, like, because there's not that much out there for kids. And so what I did is I kind of came up with this concept of, it's kind of like a Iron Man suit. If you think of the Iron Man suit, where you kind of use a lot of your imagination and visualization, and like the parent, I have instructions for this, but the parent takes their kid, into a safe place in the house. So maybe it's their living room or some other place, because if they're having a lot of issues, let's say in their bedroom at nighttime, right now, maybe that's not the most comfortable place until they kind of get their energy straightened out. So, like, if the parent takes them, and like Julia, do you remember how you did this with him?
Yeah, we did a lot of work where it was, we would get comfortable in bed. That was kind of our routine.
Hmm.
And like you talked about, I think that me being physically present, that was kind of the safety factor, right?
Okay, right. Yes, that makes sense too. Yeah.
And so we just started with almost like you would put on an Iron Man suit, if
Right.
anybody's seen the movies. And it's so relatable for these kids, right? Because
Hmm.
they almost, a lot of them know who Iron Man is.
Right.
But we would start with kind of like, the feet would go on and you kind of like work your way up the body to the
Right.
head. And the
Yep.
last part of it was that, the mask would come down and over, much like you would see with the suit going on in the Iron Man movie. Um, and it was just, piece by piece. And I think a lot of that really, if you think about it, aligns also well with some techniques that you can do for reduction of anxiety,
Right.
um, some meditative type skills. So it was, that piece by piece. And if we felt like there was an area that maybe needed a little bit more time, we would just say like, okay, that part of the suit is just buffering. It just needs a little bit longer before it's like fully enforced. um, but yeah, I mean, that was such a helpful tool for us, Leo. And I think like Ava and Lisa had mentioned things like I think it was hot cocoa or hot chocolate breathing.
Yeah, that was
Um,
right. Really cool.
Butterfly breathing, I think was
Hmm.
another one.
It was. Yep.
And so the other thing I think is putting a name with the emotion, because
Hmm.
sometimes we feel something and we just don't know what that is. And I think even some adults, like if you didn't grow up in in a place where it was regularly talked about with emotions, that I think it's a practice that even for me, like sometimes I'll say to my children, I feel this way. So it does two things. It lets them know that I'm being aware of how I feel. I'm letting the people around me know that I feel a certain way so that they kind of have an understanding of what's going on with me. And then that also gives me the chance as the adult to kind of model to them my strategies and techniques that I can use in order to help me feel better and deal with like that specific emotion. So I think, a lot of what they talked about, and I know part of it was like mindful eating and like exploring sensory type skills.
Hmm.
It gave such a beautiful idea of what all of the parts of mindfulness could be, that I've been spying on their pages online.
I'm sure you have.
And I would highly encourage, take a peek at it, because they have so much information coming out. Ava said that they were going to be very busy this summer with different like pop-up events and farmers markets, and traveling to a few different, I think they said, preschools. They do have a lot, and there's actually stuff that's not just for kids. They actually have a few things that were for adults as well. So it it's a great place that if you want to get your child exposed, but you're also looking for something that you can do, I think that they have quite a bit to offer. So, Two Mindful Girls, I follow them on Instagram. That's probably my easiest way to see what's going on, because they put
Hmm.
up, their reels and stories, and
Right.
that's easy for me because I'm not super tech savvy.
It's a quick snapshot, and you get kind of
Yeah.
get the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have their studio in Worcester, but they're in the Boston area, they're in the like Worcester County area. They're really getting to a lot of different events. So I like I said, I highly encourage it. And Leo, like you said before, this hits a kind of different chord for me. Uh because I have my book. So
Yeah.
I
So
loved I loved hearing about Ava's book, and I was like, this is incredible. Mine's a little bit different.
tell us a little bit what's coming with your book.
Yes. So I one day was practicing yoga in my home with my children around. I can't say that they were necessarily practicing yoga with me. They were on and off my mat multiple times
Right?
and maybe even sitting on me during some of my poses
Probably.
or trying to challenge me in some of my balances. However, we were doing things together and I felt very present because I was with them and I was doing something that I truly enjoy doing. And I finished my practice and I sat down and thought, I should write some of this down. And so I wrote a few different things down about, what it is like and practicing yoga. And, do my kids really understand why I practice yoga? They mimic me, I'll model for them and they'll want to try something. And so that kind of gave me the idea that to write a book called
Hmm.
Why Mommy Does Yoga. And it sat for a while because I'm not really a writer. I
Hmm.
enjoy writing, but I would not call myself a writer. However, there was a different plan for me.
You had a
So
message.
so now I would consider myself a writer. I spent a lot of time really working on this and perfecting it. And Why Mommy Does Yoga is right now being in the final works of publishing with some very soon to be announced dates for pre-order for the
Awesome.
book. Um, but a couple of people asked me, what's it about? Like, why did you write it? And I said, it's really kind of sharing with the audience why, how, as a mom, I was explaining to my child why I do yoga.
Hmm.
And the true intention behind it isn't so much to get kids to do yoga, but there's
Right?
some stuff in the book about some of the poses so they can copy things because it's
Hmm.
fun.
Right.
But the other piece of it is that I want them to understand why I'm taking care of me and why that's important for me to take care of me and that it's good to take care of yourself. So that maybe they don't grow up and decide that they're going to do yoga, but maybe they say, my mom had that thing that she really loved doing that was really good and positive for her. So I'm going to find that really good positive thing for me. Maybe that will be yoga. Maybe that will be something else, but also giving them a safe place and a comfortable place to kind of explore all of the reasons why and being able to experience that, with their parent. And of course, you know how my mind works, Leo.
Hmm.
So I'm going to throw out spoiler alert. I actually have a few other books that are already written, but those are not going to publishing yet.
Okay.
But Why Mommy Does Yoga is going to be the start of it all. And if you're not a mommy, this is at least a good place to, start with a nice book to read to your child. And it includes some things about mindfulness and self-care, parent and child, positive relationship and love. And then we'll grow that into maybe somebody else doing yoga with the child. So,
Ah,
spoiler alert.
gotcha.
um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's why I was so excited to hear from Ava and Lisa
Hmm.
because it really, like I said, it really kind of struck a chord for me because I think that the more that we can share this information with our friends, with our families, with our children, that being able to have these platforms to share our experiences and maybe give other people an idea or a thought or, I mean, any of it. We've talked about so many different topics.
I think it's a great example, though, for like parents or just anybody that is like a parental figure. Like
Yes.
if they're taking care of themselves or any form of self care, whether it's meditation, yoga, working out, whatever it is, it's like not keeping that to yourself, but like modeling it and like sharing it with your kids or the people that are like looking up to you.
Yeah. And, I wouldn't say that this is just a book for a parent or a mother to read
No,
to their
no, it could
child.
be anybody.
Yeah, it really could be anybody. It's more about just like it's okay to try new things. It's okay
Hmm.
to make mistakes. It's
Right,
okay to get outside of your comfort zone. I think that, Lisa and Ava even shared that there were some kids that originally weren't sure or maybe had some reservations about practicing mindfulness or yoga, and then are now some of the kids that are basically ready to teach the class.
right, right.
So, um, so yeah, more to come on my project. But like I said, I highly encourage you guys listen to episode 20, hear what Lisa and Ava have to say. They really have built something that's absolutely incredible and are continuing to build something that's just amazing for our kiddos, but for us adults as well.
Yeah, and like I had said to Lisa and Ava, like one of my goals with having them on as an interview was to like share them with everybody,
Yeah.
because like if you listen to the episode and you hear what they're doing, um, it would be great to just have this kind of spread like wildfire. Like talk to your schools, talk to other people. Like, do we have something like this yet? And if not, how can you?
Yeah, and I do know that there are a lot of schools that are really starting to bring more with mindfulness into the school. And it may
Hmm.
not be the same structure that
Right.
Lisa or Ava are
Hmm.
doing currently, but I think even to bring something into the school system that it's an afternoon after
Hmm.
school or maybe something that's a little bit more elective where there's, the option to do it uh, that if we could get more of this incorporated into the systems, I think it would be
Hmm.
fantastic. But
Yeah.
I think they do have other options that they offer. Um, and it's like Leo said, I'd highly encourage talking to your child's teacher, um, seeing if they do have something in the school system that maybe we're just unaware of,
Right.
or even going in and talking to the principal or somebody in the administration as well.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you guys again. We just thought we wanted to just follow up their interview, because it brought a lot of really great ideas forward, and that we just want to continue to kind of keep that moving. And thank you, Julia, for telling us about your project and your book coming.
Thank you, Leo. I'm happy to share it.
All right, guys. So till next time, just stay tuned. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Mystery of the Soul. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you have a question, topic suggestion, or just want to say hi, we'd love to hear from you. You can visit our website at mysteryofthesoul.com. Reach us on Instagram, email us at mysteryofthesoulpodcast@gmail.com, and if you're interested in booking a session with Leo, visit his website at leojmccarthy.com.